feels like we're standing in a strange crosswind right now when it comes to generative AI and creative marketing. On one side, a loud, urgent chorus. If you're not using AI to create everything, blogs, decks, ads, videos, well, you're already behind. The message, your role is vanishing, or at least, the way you do your job is. On the other side, there's a quiet resistance. I don't use AI, or I only use AI to summarize what I've already written, or yeah, I let it draft stuff, but I would never publish it. Meanwhile, in the boardroom, there are bans and risk memos being handed about and half-hearted experiments where teams are opening up personal accounts just to explore on their own. But here's the thing. On both sides of this equation, the obsession is the same. Creative throughput, output, speed, volume. We now nitpick copy now for the M-dash like it's a crime scene. But on the other hand, we buy prompt packs like they're magic beans. We even humble brag about our handcrafted, non-GMO, AI-free posts. But maybe, just maybe, we're all missing the point. So what if the promise of generative AI isn't acceleration? It's not speed. It's not about the output. What if generative AI is the first innovation in a long time that actually gives us all collectively permission to slow down, to ask better questions, to think more clearly, to explore deeper, not faster? You see, we keep hearing this metaphor. AI is like having this all-powerful intern at your beck and call. It sounds comforting, friendly. You delegate the tedious stuff, summarizing, outlining, output, repurposing, and so you humans, well, you can get back to work, the real creative work. And that's exactly how most AI platforms pitch themselves these days. Your sleepless, frictionless, infinitely scalable assistant, just dump in your data and voila, hyper-personalized content, output, streamlined workflow, surprise, revenue. Well, underneath that whole metaphor, there's a quiet tension that we're just starting to unpack. Because if the intern gets good enough, fast enough, what happens to the rest of the team? That tension shows up in every AI conversation these days. We say, we don't believe the machines will replace us, and then we quietly ask, but what if they do? So we compromise. We experiment at the edges, not because that's the best use, but because it's the safest. The output, it lets us look like we're keeping up with the speed, the acceleration, but it's not strategy. Let's flip the metaphor, if we will. Let's talk Star Wars for a second, because there's a German word for everything, well, there's always a Star Wars metaphor. So if you remember Attack of the Clones, there's a moment where Obi-Wan and Dexter Jettster, well, they're discussing droids. And Dexter says, droids don't think, they don't have wisdom. And Obi-Wan agrees, and he goes, yeah, if they could think, well, there'd be none of us here. That line hits a little different now, because AI has data, it has patterns, but it doesn't have discernment. It can generate, but it can't judge. But what if that's not a bug? What if that's the boundary where human judgment begins? So maybe the real opportunity of generative AI isn't in the output. It's not in the speed. Maybe it's just the spark, the unexpected perspective, the question we hadn't thought to ask. It's what lies at the boundary of knowing and not knowing. It reminds me very much of a core idea of epistemology. That's the philosophy of knowledge. Epistemology isn't just concerned with what's true, it's about what we have good reason to believe is true. Not just accuracy, but justification. It's not just what we know, it's why we know it. That moment of questioning, that's epistemology in action. We're not blindly accepting what sounds smart, we're interrogating what seems plausible. But epistemology doesn't stop at the question, it pushes us to do the work, to evaluate the reasoning, to seek context, to justify what evidence would actually justify our belief in the thing. In other words, what if it's not just about using AI to write faster subject lines or faster email, it's rather asking it to analyze emotional tone and tell us why something felt better. It's not just summarizing reports, it's asking what patterns are hiding in there, or what if we group this differently? It's not about handing over the creative output process, it's about provoking it, expanding it, making room for us to have deeper thought. And that shift from doing more to thinking better, it's subtle, but it is powerful. It's the shift from speed to depth, from reaction to reflection. And let's be clear, framing Gen AI in this way wouldn't mean fewer people on our team. It would actually mean more people on our team. More thinkers, more perspectives, more diversity, more judgment to be able to do that deep thinking as the differentiator. Not to chase efficiency, but to build richer, more differentiating dialogue, to create work that means something more. And maybe, just maybe again, that's why we're starting to see something curious. Despite all the hype around AI productivity, one study found that AI saved companies on average a whopping 2.8% of work time, about an hour a week. In some cases, workloads even increased as teams spent more time refining, validating, and reasoning through what AI produced. But what many in the mass media covering this are positioning as the failure of the promise of AI, I think might actually be perhaps us finally getting it. It's not a failure, it's friction, valuable friction. It's us slowing down. And maybe, again, just maybe it means we're finally getting it right. So if AI isn't just an intern, well, what is it? Well, maybe it's a fog light, maybe it's a tilted mirror, maybe it's our prompt in the dark that says, what will you make of this? Or, maybe it's just a tool. One not built to automate output or automate creativity, but to actually provoke it. One that helps us collectively step out of the default drive for speed and gives us all collectively permission to finally slow down. Because at its best, AI doesn't automate creativity, it provokes us to it. And maybe that's the real role of AI that makes us more valuable. Maybe it feels like an opportunity and it lives at the boundary of knowing and not knowing. And now, well, you're going to have to excuse me because I got to get out of here and spend a little more time and figure out why I believe this. If you want a little more, I've written about it over here. And in the meantime, before I see you, you remember, it's your story. Maybe take some time, think about it for a while, and then you tell it well. I'll see you next week.